Hello, welcome everyone to Rebound and Recover Innovation Showcase. I'm Carrie, your MC for today. Thanks for taking your lunchtime to join us. Some housekeeping rules before we begin. Do keep your microphones muted during the program, and this session will also be recorded, so we're recording it right now. You can view the video on the Pixel YouTube channel after the event. For any questions during the Q&A, you can type it into the Q&A box on your Zoom bottom bar. Instructions for Q&A will be given later. So some introduction about the Open Innovation Platform. We are a virtual crowdsourcing platform that bridges real business challenges or digitalization opportunities of enterprises to tech firms. Challenges hosted on the OIP are supported by a structured innovation process, including refinement, curation, and scouting of solvers. Problem owners gain access to a diverse pool of solvers, both locally and regionally, while tech firms receive capability support for evaluation and prototyping. Innovation calls are launched every few months, and each innovation call comprises a set of challenges from different problem owners from different sectors. Our next call for problem owners will be launched on 11 November 2020. Shall we now have a few minutes to watch a video about the Open Innovation Platform?
The economy of the future is digital, and innovation will be a key driver. So how do we accelerate the pace of innovation and digitalization to give our enterprises a competitive edge? The Open Innovation Platform, or OIP, is an initiative by the IMDA. It is a virtual platform that connects and matches challenges of problem owners such as SMEs, large enterprises, and government agencies to a pool of problem solvers with different expertise. This is Sarah. She is the Chief Innovation Officer of Company A. She would like to find innovative digital solutions to address her company's business challenge. She discusses her challenge with an IMDA officer and explains what she's looking for. IMDA then helps to launch Sarah's challenge through the OIP, allowing her to access a diverse pool of ideas and technology expertise immediately. Problem solvers around the world can see Sarah's challenge on the OIP, and those with the right capabilities for Sarah's challenge apply through the portal. Sarah and IMDA jointly evaluate, shortlist, and select the best solution from Company Y. Eric is the founder of Company Y. He works with Sarah to turn his idea into a working prototype that is demonstrated and tested in Sarah's facility. Sarah is happy with the successful prototype and awards Eric with prize monies. Sarah and Eric partner to commercialize the solution and roll it out across Southeast Asia. Sarah increases the productivity of a company's operations, while Eric scales up his product successfully with this new customer reference. With the Open Innovation Platform, we have an innovation ecosystem that is always open for all enterprises, large and small. Join us on the Open Innovation Platform.
All right, thank you. So today's event, we wanted to create this event because COVID-19 has reshaped the world in many ways, especially so in how businesses are run. I'm sure many of us here joining us today are here to seek ways on how enterprises can leverage technology for growth in opportunities and build resilience in your business and industries. Rebound and Recover is an innovation showcase, the first of its series created for problem owners and businesses, bringing together problem solvers to share on their technology, and together we can learn how to build resilient businesses. Today's program is as such. You can see on the screen right now. We can show today's program. Yeah, so we'll have a welcome remarks by IMDA, following by keynote sharing by AISG, and then we will actually have an innovation showcase by 6 companies, and after 3 companies we'll have Q&A, and another Q&A after the last 3 companies, and then we'll do some closing. So very simple and straightforward. Today we'll learn more about the AI trends from AI Singapore and hear from companies who are ready to deploy innovative solutions curated to drive resilience and business growth for enterprises. Some of today's presenting companies are under the accreditation SGD's program or the Pixel Incubator. Accreditation SG's Digital was launched in July 2014 to accelerate the growth of these promising Singapore-based tech product companies to establish credentials, build business traction, grow and compete in the global market as accreditation opens up more opportunities for their products to be showcased or bought. For buyers from the government and large enterprises, this process allows independent third-party evaluation of the company's claimed product core functionalities and ability to deliver. The Pixel incubator offers incubation for high-potential Singaporean ICM startups. To qualify, the startup should have a team of 3 to 5 people, have at least 30% local ownership, and our next call for incubation will be in August for companies working on innovative products that are utilizing emerging technologies such as 5G, VR, AR, AI, or blockchain. Companies can also sign up for Pixel's mailing list to be notified on further information. So I think with enough of me talking, let's begin. To give our welcome remarks today, we have Eric Teo, our Deputy Director of Innovation from IMDA. Let's give him a warm welcome. Eric.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric. IMDA, again, from Innovation Team, which is part of the Industry Development Group in the IMDA. So thank you for spending your lunch hour with us today. And again, welcome you to this inaugural Innovation Showcase webinar, co-organized by SPF and IMDA. So the theme of this event is Rebound Recover. So we will be discussing about how technology and innovation can help businesses create and capture new growth areas, especially in this post-COVID world. So the webinar will be split into 2 days, as mentioned. So for today, we will focus on AI technology, how we can help businesses gather data-driven insights to generate business growth opportunities. So for this session, we have invited 6 AI companies to share with us how we can actually leverage on AI to create new growth ideas for businesses so that we can emerge stronger beyond this pandemic. So some of these tech companies are actually finalists and winners to IMDA's Open Innovation Platform Challenges. So where they have been selected by the problem owners to build winning prototypes and to address challenge statements faced by these problem owners. So this Open Innovation Platform, as mentioned earlier, is a virtual crowdsourcing matchmaking portal, which is with a structured process behind it to help match challenges from MNCs, from local enterprises, as well as government agencies, right, with potential tech solvers. So to date, the platform has hosted 129 challenge statements, and on average received between 13 to 18 proposals per statement from tech solvers. So on another note, let me share with you a recent study by BCG, a consulting firm, conducted a survey with some leading US investors to understand their perspectives on the economy. So these investors actually expect the severe economic impact of this crisis to extend to end of Q1 2021. And they anticipate a W-shaped recovery rather than a rapid V-shaped recovery. So the common message from these investors is, don't waste a crisis. For companies with enough resources, use a crisis to build long-term advantage. So in the survey, 90% of the investors believe that it is important for companies to prioritize building business capabilities for advantage and growth, even at the expense of earnings. So let me share with you 2 quotes from the investors. The first, it says, I have written off 2020. I want companies to invest now to strengthen advantage and build platforms for growth. Second quote, don't waste the crisis. If you have the liquidity, make bold acquisitions and exit businesses that are not long-term winners. So essentially what they are saying is also to use this time to re-strategize and to reposition for the eventual upswing. So with this as a backdrop, let me hope that you will find this webinar useful with some good takeaway. So thank you very much for spending the time today with us and enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, thanks for the insightful welcome. I particularly enjoy the quotes. I think those are very insightful. I would like to invite Mr. Lim Ten Po, Principal AI Consultant from AI Innovation, to give us keynote speech. Yeah, let's give him a warm welcome, Ten Po.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for your time in attending this event. So again, my name is Lim Ten Po. I'm a Principal AI Consultant at AI Singapore. So I'm glad to be here as a keynote speaker. So my title of a talk is Accelerating SRIC with AI. So why is this SRIC? I will go through later on, and by the end of this talk, you'll understand why. Okay, so a bit about copyright statements, and let's begin. So a bit about myself. Currently, I'm an AI consultant at AI Singapore. So what I do here is that I help companies to ideate potential AI use cases if they want to get started, but they don't know how to get started. I'm also seconded to the National AI Office, where I provide my AI expertise on healthcare use cases, and also doing a part-time Master of Computing AI at NUS. So prior to doing all this, I was from the financial sectors. So I graduated with a business degree, and I worked around 4 years in the financial sectors before coming to AI Singapore as an AI consultant to build AI models for companies. So with this unique background of mine, I can understand where the business challenges are and the business lingo that businesses are using. And that's why right now I'm in this role to help businesses to adopt AI. So this will be the agenda of my talk. I'll be talking a bit about AI Singapore first. Then I talk about accelerating S-rate with AI. And lastly, how can we accelerate AI adoption? So a bit of AI Singapore. So who are we? AI Singapore, we are officially started in June 2017. So we are funded by the government, or to be more specific, we are funded by the National Research Foundation. Right? So we are not a commercial entity per se. And we are hosted under NUS. So our officers, our HR system, everything is hosted by NUS. So what do we do? So we are coordinating our office. So what we do is that we help to coordinate scarce resources in AI Singapore, in AI in Singapore, so that we can be more specific and apply targeted approach to specific solutions and problems. Why is this so? This is because AI talent is very scarce in Singapore. We cannot let everybody to go and tackle all sorts of problems that we are seeing. So what we are trying to do is that we try to coordinate different entities such as the NRF, IMDA, EDB, IHIS. We also coordinate with the IHL such as SMU, NUS, all the higher learning institutes. And we provide our talents at AI Singapore. What then we do is that we will help to solve real-life industrial problems together. So we are agnostic across industry and sectors, be it startups, SMEs, or AMCs, be it in the manufacturing to all the way to, let's say, tech industry. If any companies that need our help, we'll be more than willing to come in and support. Okay, and the end goal is to deploy AI model that can have social and economic impacts in Singapore. So AI Singapore, we have 3 arms. First is the AI research, where we help to invent the next generation AI techniques and algorithms. We have the AI technology, where we solve our grand challenges. So one of the grand challenges we are solving right now is related to healthcare. The arm that I'm from is under the AI innovation and makerspace. So this is where it's more industry facing and companies facing. So we go out to companies to ask them, do you need any help with AI modeling development, or do you need any help in terms of talent development or scoping AI use cases? If there is, we'll be more than willing to help. So there are multiple programs under AI innovations that we can do with companies to help. Right? So I won't go through each of them here, but if you're interested, you can come to our website to take a look. Okay, so now I come to the meat of this presentation. Accelerate asterisk with AI. So why do I put asterisk there? Let me go through why. Okay, so on the left, what you're seeing here is a report published at Hackernoon. So this is very interesting. So what these AI engineers did was, right, they developed this AI model that can analyze legal documents such as NDA. Not NDA, right? Non-disclosure agreement. These are typically very standard and very boring contract, right? So most lawyers would rather do something more value-adding rather than reviewing NDA documents. So this group of AI engineers, what they did was to develop AI algorithms that can review NDA, and they compete that model that they developed against real-world human who are trained lawyers, not like fresh grads, but they are industry experts to see who can perform better. So based on the test, the AI is able to perform better and faster, right? So you might say, hey, if that's the case, won't the lawyers feel threatened? The answer is no. Surprisingly, one of the lawyer in that challenge says, actually, it's good that AI can take over the review of legal documents so that they can focus on more complex projects. More complex projects, meaning, I suppose, higher profit for the law firms and lawyers. And this guy also say, in the future, the law will be human and computer versus human and computer. So this is very interesting. So from this lawyer, what he's saying is that in the future, lawyers who don't use AI will be outcompete by people who use AI. Right? So you might be wondering, hey, that's for lawyers, right? How about other industry? So let me give you this very specific example. So this is the score you're seeing there is the performance of the AI model. So on the left, you see the picture of two guys, right? So two data scientists or AI engineers, they try to develop an AI model that can best match couples together, right? Let's say a male and a female, given their personality and interests, how likely they are matched, right? So they develop these AI algorithms to do that task. And the score you're seeing there is how well the model is performing. So you can see when a human built the model from scratch, it was 0.77. If they use Google Cloud or Azure, this is what I call auto ML, auto machine learning. The score is 0.881. So it's slightly better than what the human is doing. But on the extreme right, if you look at it, if the human and the AI combine, the overall score is better than either human or AI alone. Right? So this is even true for the machine learning engineers or AI engineers or data scientists you're seeing. Right? So human plus AI outperforms human or AI. Right? So this brings me to this main point here. Right? So a lot of people thought that jobs and companies will be replaced by AI. Actually, that's not true. Right? Workers and companies will be replaced by workers and companies who use AI. Right? Because anyone who uses AI can augment and improve their performance and productivity, right, with the help of AI. Okay, so that's why I come to this point here. Accelerating asterisk with AI. Why is it asterisk? Because asterisk is a well-cut character. Right? You can replace any character with this asterisk. And if you look at here, this is where you have to stretch your imagination a bit, right? In most business application you are doing right now, a lot of the decisions come from analysts who prepare reports, who look at data, right, before they can make informed decisions, right? Just imagine that if right now, this analyst or whoever else in your company who are making the investment decisions, right, or any kind of business processes are using AI to augment their decision making. I'm not saying replace, I'm saying augment. Right? If you can think of any business application that uses data, most likely there will be some sort of AI application suitable for it. Right? And just imagine that every single employee in your companies is augmented by AI. Right? The productivity and of course the profit margin of a company will significantly increase. On this, I'd like to share a story of the British cycling team. So in the past, British cycling team performance is very bad, right? They loses most of the competitions. So there's this one year where they got a new coach. So this new coach does is that he believes that if we improve everything just by 1%, marginal 1%, right, the whole team will win the competition. So what he then do is that he started to rub alcohol on the bicycle tires to improve the tractions of the tires. He started to paint the truck that carry the bicycle white so that it can spot dust, right? And the dust will impact the spinning of the wheel, etc. So he looked at each and every individual components that might impact the cycling team performance, and he tried to do something about it and to improve that thing by 1%. And at the end of it, they are starting to win competition and tournament. So that is the story of the British cycling team. So just imagine that you can start to use AI to improve every function's employees' performance just by 1%. It will lead to a significant different performance overall for your organization. So now I come to the last part of my talk, accelerating AI adoption. Okay. So based on the most recent study done, right, there are three main categories of AI adoption challenges. Right? So first is the AI engineering capabilities. This is not surprising because AI engineers right now are scarce talents. Next, most of the organizations says that data is an issue, right? Because they don't have the data in the right format or quality for machine learning. So this is a second issue. And the last big theme that I'm seeing here is the AI understanding, right? Because AI itself is not like a Microsoft Excel sheet or a typical software where you can just buy off the shelf and run it, right? Most of the time, the application or the data that you have might need some tweaking before it's even ready to be AI applications, right? So this is where AI Singapore can come in and help. Okay. We work across different industries and companies. So what we are doing right now is that we are taking the insights from our industry engagement. We are taking the learnings from the AI projects that we have across different companies. And some of us, or most of us in AI Singapore came from non-computing background. Like for me, I came from Procter & Gamble procurement. I came from Bangi doing international commodities trading before I enter AI Singapore. So what then we do is that we find the common denominator across these three areas and we turn them into something called bricks. Bricks in short for us is just open source tools that we are developing for the industry. Right? So let me give you one of the examples that we have developed for the industry. So we have developed this tool called Find Posts, right? So if you look at the picture on the bottom left, so it can detect the distance between humans, right? So if two humans are too close together, let's say less than 1 meter, right? Then this AI will flag out a warning sign. So this is what we have developed and open source to the industry, meaning that if any companies who want to use this solution in their manufacturing lines or in their office space, right, to ensure that you comply with whatever regulations set by the Ministry of Manpower, etc., to ensure that the workers don't get too close together in terms of the sitting arrangement, etc., this will be able to help. Right? So we have other open source solutions on the AI Singapore website as well. If you're interested, you can go and take a look. Right? All these are free to use. You don't need to pay us anything at all. So on the bottom left, HP, the global MMC computing company, are already deploying our solutions in some of the factory site. Okay. We also have this thing called AI ready bricks, because you understand that for a lot of the companies here, not everybody understand Python code or can develop AI applications with their in-house staff. Right? So we also have these bricks, what I call AI ready bricks, where we use simple drag and drop interface to develop our open source solutions for people. So some of the solutions that we developed is demand forecast, product recommender, customer segmentations, customer churn, and credit risk classification and prediction as well, right? So any company who wish to use these bricks, they can come to our website and take a look at how they can just simply clone or copy what we have developed over and start to use it in the company, right? So I mentioned again, for AI ready bricks, no code is required. It's just simply drag and drop on this Microsoft Azure interface, and it's free to use. Okay. And one of the last challenges we're seeing is that the data and AI understanding challenges as shown by the survey earlier. So in AI Singapore as well, what we have developed is that we have developed this 4-stage approach where we take a company from zero to AI project ready. So what we do, first we have to educate. So we have the AI for everybody and AI for industry. So AI for everybody is a free course that you can go online. It's a 3-hour course, you can listen to it to understand what is AI. Okay. We have the AI cleaning and AI discovery. So this is where we work very closely with the companies to ideate what could be the potential AI applications that could be deployed in the organizations. Right? Not every organization is AI ready, right? For the organization to be AI ready, certain things have to be in place, such as the IT infrastructure, the data quality, and etc. That's why we have the AI Clinic, AI Discovery, and Data Readiness Program. So for Data Readiness Program, this is where AI Singapore can step in to help to clean up the data to make it ready for AI project. So this is how we tackle the AI understanding challenges that is highlighted in the survey. So the key takeaway from my talk is AI plus human is the next frontier. Any worker or company who are not exploring using AI to augment their existing processes, they will face a stiff competitions for companies who are embarking on it. And you must always remember, AI learns over time and the performance will get better. For those companies who embark on the AI journey faster, earlier, they will have a first mover advantage. Right? Imagine your competitors really started AI 3 years ago, you're starting now, right? The AI model performance potentially will be significantly better than yours, right? Due to the fact that they have started on it earlier. So it's always good to start earlier and not be outperformed by your competitors. Next, AI is applicable for most business applications. Marginal gains leads to outsized performance, right? So if there's anything remember from this talk, remember the story of the British cycling team. They went from an underdog to a championship team in the world of cycling competition just because they focus on improving 1% of everything that they do, right, over time. Just 1% in everything they do. Right? So think about this. How can you improve 1% of every single employees in your company or all the processes right now you're running in your companies to achieve the outsized performance? And lastly, AI Singapore has the resources, tools, and services to help companies get started on the AI journey. Right? So you are never alone if you want to get started in the AI journey. We are always here to help. If you're interested, you can contact us. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tempo. All right, now we will have our 5 companies presenting on how technology can help create resilience in your business. If you have any questions for these companies, please follow the instructions on the screen later. Type your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen and indicate which number your company, your question is intended for. We will have a Q&A session after every 3 presentations. You can see on screen now, for Vouch, you can key in #1 followed by your question. For Ent-Vision, key in #2 followed by your question. For SensorBoard, #3, right? Do note that we'll try to accommodate your questions, but understand that we may not be able to address all of them due to time constraint. And if we are able to answer your questions after the event, we will do so. Let's welcome our first presenter. Vouch is a contactless digital concierge that elevates guest experience. We have Mr. Joseph Ling, the CEO, to share with us more on Vouch. So I'll hand over to Joseph now. Yes,
Good.
yes, we can see your screen.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph, and I'm the founder of Vouch. And at Vouch, we work with hotels and the wider travel industry to build digital concierges to help them improve productivity, elevate guest experience, and increase revenue. I just wanted to, before I go on with my slides, I just wanted to take this time to thank IMDA for this opportunity to speak to everyone. And I hope that what I present here, you will find useful and it will be something that you can think about in how digital concierges may be able to help your business. So at Vouch, our vision is really to build accessible and intuitive interfaces to help people access information and services. And it's a very simple concept. It sounds very airy-fairy, but it's really, really important. And we pay a lot of attention to accessibility and intuitiveness. And because we do that, our products are one of those rare products where hotel staff, as well as guests, are happy to use them and use them again and again. And because of that, we're able to deploy products that actually work and deliver results for these hotels and the wider travel industry. So we've been very fortunate to gain the trust of many of the travel industry partners that you can see over here. For example, under Singapore, Holiday Inn, Sofitel, Intercontinental, Pan Pacific Group. And recently we've been also expanding across the wider travel industry. So we also work with the Singapore Tourism Board. We were the ones that built their digital concierge for them. We're working with the National Heritage Board. Over the next 2 years, we'll be rolling out digital concierges for all the museums in Singapore. And for the work that we've done, we've been recognized with awards like the Singapore Tourism Award for Best Business Innovation last year, which is the most prestigious award that a company in tech, in the travel industry can receive. We've also been part of prestigious accelerator programs like Facebook's Startup Station, as well as STB's own accelerator program. So one of the trends that we've noticed is that not just hotel guests, but people in general, they start to prefer self-service technologies. And I think it's a result of the fact that everybody has a smartphone in their hand. Everybody knows, a lot of people are tech savvy now. They know how to use these technologies. So if you look at the data, you see that about 73% of people prefer self-service technologies over engaging with human beings. And for hotels, right, this is both an opportunity and a threat. It's an opportunity because hotels are always overloaded. You always have people that your staff are always super stretched. And they don't have time for every single guest. So as more guests start to self-service, what this means is that your staff has more time to focus on high impact services, like a little bit of what Tenpo mentioned just now, and they can then use this time to strengthen the human touch. It's also a threat because right now, the most accessible self-service for complaints is really an online review. So I just wanted to share some of the impact that we've had in hotels. Just to reiterate, basically we deploy a digital concierge in hotels that allows guests to self-service. And at hotels like Capri by Freya, we now automate more than 70% of requests. So in the past, where people would pick up a phone and call the call center to ask for a towel or water bottle, they now actually scan a QR code and use our product using their own phone to make these requests. And this has generated a huge amount of time savings, productivity savings for their call center, for their front desk, and for a lot of staff in the hotels. We've done the same thing at Pan Pacific Hotel, and we're now spreading across the whole Pan Pacific group. We don't just help them improve productivity, we also help them improve revenue. So as an example, at Andas, we have actually increased poolside service orders by more than 25%. And I just wanted to highlight one of these hotels over here, the Amon. It's a really interesting case study because this is a hotel that came to us and said, hey, everybody has a smartphone right now. I don't really want to spend the money to build a PBX infrastructure across all my hotel rooms. Can I just use Vouch as the only way for my staff and my guests to communicate? And it's paid off handsomely for them. We deployed it for them. They didn't need to deploy a PBX system. And every month we get about 1,800 to 3,000 requests that pass through the Vouch system, entirely automated. So what exactly do we do, right? I've been talking about the results. Well, okay, there's a problem with the video, but let me just try to walk you through this. Basically, we provide all the benefits of an app without the download. As a guest, or even in the museums, you scan a QR code and it brings up your browser. This is a web-based interface where you can then chat. You just use chat to ask your question. You can ask questions, information, and get information and FAQs. You can make housekeeping or item requests. You can order room service, book facilities, do self-check-in, check-out. We do that through a partner right now. Book taxis, all sorts of things. In a hotel, we also have all the information that a hotel has with regards to its facilities, to its gym opening hours, swimming pool opening hours, things like that. It's multilingual, and we can also do very interesting things like get guest feedback during the course of their stay. Traditionally, hotels, they only get this feedback only after it's about to leave. But we're able, because they're accessing this service all the time, we can easily get their feedback, and the hotel can then if there's anything to correct, they can take corrective measures while the guest is still there. In recent months, we've also helped hotels a lot with post-COVID normal features. So for example, health declaration. Guests simply scan a QR code and they do the health declaration within our digital concierge. You have contactless dine-in menus. If you go to the hotel restaurant, you scan a QR code, you can place your order through our digital concierge. You have gym and swimming pool facility bookings so that you can make sure that your facilities are not overcrowded. You put your guest mind at ease. So we do a lot of these post-COVID normal features that have been helping hotels significantly right now. We're integrated in hotel backend systems. So any kind of request that comes through us goes straight to your room attendants or the maintenance department. Doesn't have to go through the call center anymore. And if you notice, even though we rely primarily on chat, right? I have never once used the word chatbot to describe our product. And that's because we are actually supported by a whole host of mini apps. In this video on the left, you'll see what I mean. So this is a room service ordering mini app where you can see pictures, you can see all sorts of details about the food that you might want to place orders on. You can then check out. And the reason why we do this is we believe that chat fulfills certain functions, but not all functions are best fulfilled on chat. If you remember, we pay a lot of attention to being accessible and intuitive. We feel that things like room service is better done through a mini app. And so we've built in-room dining, poolside dining, pre-stay preferences, room appointment bookings, mini apps, and a whole host of other mini apps that support this service. That's why we call ourselves a digital concierge and not a chatbot. We're also integrated with services like ComfortDelGro, Chope, Globaltics, and Culturally, so we can provide all sorts of services like taxi bookings, restaurant bookings, attraction bookings, and tour bookings all through us. We're omnichannel and multilingual. So not only do we support web functionality, we also, if a hotel wants to integrate this on WhatsApp, on WeChat, on Line, Telegram, we can actually also do that as well. Not all conversations go well. So we provide hotels with a back-end service that supports omni-channel replies. Basically, it doesn't matter where the guest is accessing this from. A staff, if necessary, can take over chat. There's skills-based tagging so that if let's say somebody is speaking in Japanese, you can assign this to a Japanese-speaking staff to take over the conversation. We also have intelligent monitoring and escalation so that if issues don't get resolved in time, somebody gets alerted to it. We also do a lot of tracking of data. So we're able to tell hotels and the partners that we work with things like what are your guests asking for? And it's really interesting. One of the examples that we've done is that last year in July at Andas, Singapore, people are asking about, hey, can I see the National Day fireworks from my room? And these are actually revenue generating sort of questions. Within a day, we were able to quickly train the AI to be able to answer these questions to help them generate this revenue. We're also able to help hotels understand their customers better. So like when people ask about, hey, is there self-check-in? If you don't have it, we can alert you. We can say, hey, your guests are asking for this. Why not do something to implement this? So everything, whatever your guests are asking for that can help you, we will help to alert you on this. So what makes us different from all these other companies out there? Number one, we have quite a number of deployments already. So we have pre-trained AI from all these other deployments, and we make sure that all our digital concierges learn from one another. So if you join us, then you'll have the smartest bot around, which also keeps on getting smarter over time. We have mini apps that complement chat. So we're not just a chatbot company. Chat is just one of the things that we do. We use the most intuitive interface for the job, and these mini apps help to make deliver the best experience for your users. Because of this attention to accessibility and intuitiveness, we have very high usage rate, actual results. And lastly, we are really, really nimble. And I just wanted to point out that this is so important in this COVID situation. I'll give you an example why. Government announced that phase 2 opening will be opening, they announced it on a Tuesday and they opened it on a Friday. A lot of the hotels came to us and said, hey, I need a dine-in solution in my restaurants by Friday. Can you help me deliver? We were able to do that for Sofitel, for Intercontinental Robertson Quay, and for many other hotels. So because we are so nimble, we built our own platform, our own proprietary platform that we can iterate on very quickly, right? We're able to move very, very quickly in this fast-changing COVID environment. So this is us, this is Vouch, and we hope to give travel industry players the freedom to do the things that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. That was very interesting. Thanks for sharing. I would like to invite anybody who has questions to post the Q&A in the Q&A tab and put #1 for Vouch, all right? So Joseph can answer them later. For questions that are relating to AI Singapore, we will actually consolidate the questions and send you via email later. So we'll not be answering them during this event. Next up, we have the founder and CTO of Ent-Vision, Mr. K.H. Tan, who specializes in data, AI, machine learning, and NLP and geospatial solutions. So let's invite Mr. Tan to share with us a bit on Ent-Vision. KH?
Right. Good afternoon. Firstly, let me thank IMDA and SBF for this opportunity today to share about our solutions. Today, I'll be speaking about intelligent process automation and how you can give you the competitive edge during this very challenging market conditions. The latest report from MPA shows a negative year-on-year growth for the maritime industry. If we start to look at other sector reports, we are likely to see a similar trend. So what can we do to grow in such market conditions? We believe that you can grow it by increasing your market share. So how we do it? We want to be able to get our quotations out faster. We want to make sure that our quotations goes out accurately to give us a higher conversion rate. We could also look at how we can reduce the order fulfillment cost. Doing it correctly, you can expect to have a 20% cost reduction in your order fulfillment. So these are two possible strategies that you can undertake. A very great way to introduce our clients, ourselves, is to talk about our clients. Who are they and what do they do? Well, we essentially serve two groups of customers. The first group are companies that sell goods. They sell products like suppliers, wholesalers, as well as possibly the manufacturers. What this company wants to do is to be able to match the right products to their customers. And on our second group, we have the third-party logistic companies. These companies provide warehousing and transportation services. What their core business is to be able to move products from the warehouse to the customer premises very efficiently. So our business, Ent-Vision, essentially is to help our customers to be able to move their products, to be able to match the products to the right customer audience. And we do that by being able to help them move the products between systems and to be able to match information intelligently so that they can automate a lot of their processes. Ent-Vision was founded in 2018, and over the last 2 years, since we started, we are honored to be selected by IMDA, by MPA, as well as STB and SLA for their innovation challenges. The central theme of all these challenges that we took part is actually about how to maximize data insights into your operations. What do we bring to the market? What kind of innovation? Firstly, for the maritime industry, we help them to automate their process of documents that they receive. In this environment today, we find that every customer will send their information either via email or they could be using a platform. The other solution that we also provide within this is to be able to intelligently match the right products to customers' requirement. For the smart logistics, we use natural language to be able to automate the order processing. Documents coming in PDF, Excel, or even information that are directly within the email message itself, instruction that coming in that way. All this information, the orders when received, we have an engine that actually optimizes their resources by being able to automatically assign jobs to the drivers. Let me go in a little bit deeper for the first solution. The ship supplies quotation process. Essentially, the maritime ship market is actually a global market. It operates round the clock because of various time zones. In Singapore, while our offices are closed and we're sleeping, inquiries continue to come in from ports around the world. Very often, there are information that are missing in those requests. So what do we do? The next day when we wake up, we find that they're missing information and we've lost a day. We lost a day because by the time we respond back to a request for more information, the office on the other end of the island, the other end, would have been closed. The second thing that the staff need to do, they have actually a big team of customer service agents to manually check, to cross-match the requirements against the product. Many of these suppliers actually faced with very large customers. These customers have their own standard formats. They usually receive a description of what the customer wants. And from there, they have to sieve out which products does the customer want. And to be able to very quickly respond back to the customer with the correct product. Our automation solution starts from the end, from the beginning, when emails are received. All the documents are processed automatically. Data are standardized. As you have heard earlier on, one of the biggest challenge of AI is the quality of the data. And that's the first thing that we do. We ensure that the data that comes in, and usually it comes in all sorts of formats. There's no consistency in the format with the data coming in. And that's the first thing that we do. We make sure the data are standardized. Only then, when the data are standardized with the incoming data, then we can feed it into our AI engine for doing matching. The other thing that we offer is the ability to connect all the inquiries into your backend system. You do not have to replace your backend system. You just merely allow us to be connected. Our automation system actually will comprise of data models that we built. It's built to get combined with a industry catalog, like in this case for maritime, we have what we call an IMPA catalog, together with our client's own product list. This allows us to create a model that has smart attributes and be able to pick up information from the description to build a set of information structured to allow the AI to do its job of matching the right products. So this model is actually trained for the maritime industry, as well as to be able to tailor to a specific company's own product catalog. Besides being able to process the information, we are able to connect automatically to your mailbox. So we can connect one to your inquiry mailbox. You can connect another to your sales order mailbox, such that information which are processed can automatically be connected to your quotation management system and to your ERP system. So all this can be configured according to your requirements, whether you just want to run a quotation system, you want to run a order automation system. Next, I'll talk a little bit about our solution for smart logistics. There are three major challenges that all logistic companies face, specifically in particular for the B2B, business to business logistic company. Firstly, they receive data that is non-standardized again. This is the core of every problem that we face in order processing. Customers will sometimes like to send you a PDF order form. Some of the customers will say, I'll send you an Excel template. And some will even say, I will just type it in the email message. All this variety of standard format causes a lot of manual data entry problem. Most organizations have a team of customer service agents that are not really serving customers, but instead they're doing a lot of order entry work. They're doing a lot of order administration work. Secondly, in a supply chain logistic environment, there are many systems causing silos to exist across the different systems. There is no standardization, and typically what you have is multiple versions of truth. And then finally, what you are faced with is the lack of visibility on your order fulfillment. Are the orders delivered yet? Where are my drivers? So these are the three major challenges that supply chain logistic companies face. The core of our solution is a master data platform that allows end-to-end flow from the incoming data all the way to all your different processing systems down to your app. Whether it is your warehouse management system, your transport management systems, even your order management system, and even apps that you create for your drivers. All this can be connected and have a common standardized data set, a single version of truth. Whether you receive orders via EDI or you receive orders coming in via Excel, all these are automatically transformed. They transform into a consistent format that can be captured into your order processing system without a human intervention. Here, you're talking about not having to have data entry errors. You are talking about being able to automatically process it. And the data are actually flowed in directly into your warehousing system. It goes straight into your order system, And then from there, transport jobs can be sent directly to your TMS system. Warehouse jobs can be sent directly into your WMS system, such that every department can concurrently operate with the same set of data, process the same orders. The warehouse people will start packing the items, and the transport team can start to schedule the drivers, schedule the trucks to ensure that they can complete the delivery within the timeline as soon as the products and items are picked. So this is the end-to-end flow where operations are automated, process are automated, documents are processed automatically, data goes to each system along the whole chain from the beginning to the end. So what I've done very quickly is to share on intelligent process automation and how it can help you to increase your sales conversion rate, how we can cut down your order fulfillment time. So this can be applied across the industry. We have actually built prototypes for the maritime industry. For different industry, we can always build a similar model, but each of these model for an industry are actually tailored to your individual customers' requirements, to your individual products. I'm happy to be able to share this information. If you would like to reach out to us, you can write to me or my co-founder, Pamela Wu. Our email addresses are over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KH. Thank you so much. If there are any questions for KH or Ent-Vision, please type in the Q&A bar with hashtag #2 and we'll answer them during the Q&A. For this first session, we have SensorBot. They are an A-Star spin-off, a young and dynamic high-growth robotics startup. We have Dr. Ho Chin Keong, who will now share with us. He's the Deputy CEO and CTO of SensorBot. Dr. Ho, you can have the platform.
Hi, my name is Chin Keong. So hopefully you can hear me and see my slides. Okay. SensorBot is a A-Star robotics spin-off. We offer autonomous robot solutions. Besides building the hardware from scratch, our main key advantage is that we build hardware together with software, which is AI-based. So as you can see here, there are actually 3 solutions that we are providing. A-Star, maybe you're aware, A-Star actually consists of many research institutes. So we came from iSquare, which is focusing mostly on the information processing part. And we also have a robotics department. So the spin-off is actually merging between 2 key important. Okay, so as I've mentioned, I'm going to lead you through the 3 products that we have now. First is called Aurora. Aurora is a RFID scanning robot. Freya is a vision analytics robot, and Caddy is a logistics robot. So I'll lead you through these 3 products that we have. But before that, let me go through what is the unique value proposition that SensorBot brings to the table. Robotics products are actually at the infancy. So a lot of robotics operation or automation is actually commonplace in factories and big companies. But actually, robotics in the consumer space is actually now becoming more commonplace. What we feel is that as we start to roll out more robotic operations, as robotics components become cheaper, the key issues that we have to grapple with is really how does user and robotics work together with each other in the same environment. So for SensorBot, the key value that we have while we have been working in this area for the past 2 to 3 years is that we are able to integrate the robotic operations with the users seamlessly. So most of the time, people are actually afraid that robots are in the workplace. So how do we make this work process seamless and integrate the whole thing so that 1 + 1 = 3? So basically everybody wins. So most of the time, robotics are working on operations which are very mundane and very repetitive. So actually people welcome the robotics into their workplace. Second thing that we have is that robotics by itself is actually meaningless to the user. What the people want is really robotics giving a certain value. So what we do in SensorBot is really to do sensing. We collect data and we use the data to make sense of it and provide value, high value to the customer. So all this is done in the cloud, and we make it very seamless for the person to actually retrieve the results from the cloud. And as I said, robotics is really in the background kind of a picture. So people do not really want to see the robotics being in the foreground. They just want to see a result. So we provide a worry-free operation whereby the robots will run autonomously and detect obstacle as and when it happens. So all the recovery will be done seamlessly without human involvement. And lastly, we have a scalable solution. So with robotics, even robots running up to about 10 or 20 robots in the libraries, we have no problem to actually interface with them and actually track what they are doing at any point of time. So with that general background, I'll first tell you about the first product that we have. It's our flagship product, which we call Aurora. So this is a RFID analytics robot. So what happens is that this robot is basically scanning RFID tags in a warehouse or in the library, and then getting some information on it, and then highlight to people what are the anomaly that's being found. So right now we have we have deployed Aurora in National Library Board. There are over more than 10 robots deployed in various places, especially in the eastern side of libraries. So you don't really see them moving. You don't really see the robots in the library because actually the robots run in the night time. So for example, last night I just did a quick calculation, more than 500,000 books has been scanned and analyzed and presented to the librarians. And what do the results shows? Basically what we tell the librarians are things that we found interesting or abnormal. So for example, certain people that we see is that they borrow the books, but they forgot to actually bring it home. They might left it in the library. So these are books which are on loan, and the library robot is able to pick it up and tell the librarian that actually someone forgot to bring the book, take the book out, and it can actually help them to return, rather than let the person incur a fine or even pay a certain fees to renew the book. And there are other things that we also check whether the books are being sequenced properly. And in certain places where it's not sequenced properly, we'll let the librarian know, so that the librarian does not need to look book by book and see which are the books which are misplaced or missequenced. And also we do a stock take functions. And also in addition, we actually flag or surface this information to the OPEX system. So when the user actually search for books, they can find where the books are exactly at which shelf, which tier, and which bay. So besides being deployed in the library, we're also deploying these robots in the logistics space, in the warehouse, wherever there are RFID tags present. And at this point, the robots are being deployed in Singapore, Korea, and Japan. So very quickly, we'll take a quick look at the video sequence of how the robot is like. This video is available on YouTube, so you can actually search for it, called under the maybe Temasek Poly inventory robot. So I'll just give a quick show of this. So they call it Robbie, and this robot will move around in the library in the daytime. So it does scanning autonomously and automatically. So this is the way it scans. So basically, it just scans each and every book and then check whether the book has any problem, and then also to tell the user where the books are. So previously in Temasek Poly, they have to actually do something called shelf reading, which means that they have to go and check where the books are misplaced, wrongly placed, and then they have to pick it out and then put it back in the right place. So everything is done in a human, very manual way. So they use eyeballing to check where the books are wrong. So with this system in place, actually they do not even need to have this shelf reading process, because every book will be tracked. You know exactly where the location, where the books are. So even if a book is misplaced, a person can always look out for it. Okay, so we can continue to take a look at this video at one time. So I'll go on. The second robot that we have is called Freya. So this is actually done and developed together in the OIP framework in NEA. So this robot actually does vision analytics. For this particular use case, we are deploying the robot in Columbarium. So what happens is that on the right side, you can see a picture where the robot moves around and scanning something called niche. So niche is basically a plate where behind is an urn, where after a person is cremated, the ashes are kept in the urn. So there are cases when actually the niche are being burnt, there are burn marks on it, or even being destroyed. So when the thing is being destroyed, whether accidentally or purposely, for whatever reason, the people who visit it will get very shocked if they see it. So this robot basically does an anomaly detection to see that everything is in place, so that whenever something happens, NEA can actually alert the people involved. So because this is a generic technology, meaning that we are doing vision analytics on things that is abnormal, this can be also be deployed in other areas as well. Okay, that's an example of the vision analytics that we are doing. So on the first row here, you can see my mouse is a niche one. For example, we have a baseline here, which is a niche, a photo. Then we have a verification image. So the robot will basically move around and scan every night to verify, to have a verification picture taken and check against the baseline. So in case that there's no significant difference, there'll be no differences detected and nothing will happen. But in the niche 2 and niche 3 case, for example, there'll be some anomaly detected. So in that case, we can actually flag out this problem to NEA or to the person involved accordingly. So this cut shorts the time that the person has to actually go and check every niche, niche by niche, and it might take months before the problem is being surfaced. Okay, lastly, let's take a look at another different caddy, another robot, which we call it a caddy. So caddy is a logistic robot, which is a bit different from the one that you see in warehouse. In warehouse, most of the time you see robots that are big, bulky, which is not very easy to be used in a small space like in Singapore, shops and so on. So we actually implemented a smaller version of a logistics robot, which has small footprint and very high maneuverability. So the idea is that we can actually have one robot base, but we have different kind of payload or trolley that we can customize for different businesses. So you might be maybe a shop selling shoes. So you might actually have to transport goods quite frequently. So we might have trolleys that is designed to put these shoes in. And then the caddy will actually be able to move goods in and out to different locations as and when you want it. So the idea of a caddy is, again, a small footprint but high maneuverability. So the way they can use in the caddy is actually in many places, such as supermarkets, shopping malls, and warehouses. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. So basically in SensorBot, we are presenting different kind of robotic solutions. So it's not just robot, but really an end-to-end solutions, whereby a robot has a sensor on it, and it can be a RFID sensor, it can be a camera, or it can even be used in a logistics space. And with this, we can customize different kind of solution for different industries. Right now, if you have any interest in this kind of product, you may like to approach me and we can discuss further. I think that's all from my presentation.
All right, thank you, Chin Kiong. Chin Kiong, we actually have a question for you from Peter Tan. They're asking, could we lease the robots on a needed basis?
Okay, this is a business model that can be arranged accordingly. Right now, we are typically selling the robot as a whole, but I think leasing model seems to be the norm. So we are also talking to different parties on this approach as well.
All right, thank you very much. Actually, that's the end of the Q&A for us. We don't actually have any more questions coming in. If you do, you can always put the questions into our feedback form later, and you can contact the three of them separately as well. Yeah, so you can actually put in our feedback form that you would like them to be contacted, and they will contact you. Next up, we actually have Mr. Liu Feng Yuan, co-founder and CEO of Basis AI. Basis AI builds augmented intelligence software for data-driven enterprises. So let's have Feng Yuan to share on his product.
Thanks very much, everyone, for having me. Thanks so much to IMDA. Let me quickly share my screen. Can you see my screen? Yep. Right, let me dive straight into an introduction of the company. So Basis AI, we're a startup about a year and a half old. The co-founding team has more than 20 years experience basically implementing AI and data science solutions at scale for various companies, both within Singapore at a national scale as well as from Silicon Valley. So I used to work with the Singapore government, driving a lot of our Smart Nation initiatives, working with a lot of mobility data, transportation, as well as geolocation data, building the Smart Nation platforms for the Singapore government agencies. My two co-founders are originally Singaporean, but they spent all their careers prior to this in Silicon Valley. Linus working at Twitter, Sylvanus at Dropbox and Uber, basically deploying AI at scale, right? So it's well known that Silicon Valley is at least 10 years ahead of the rest of the world And when they decided to move back to Singapore, we co-founded this company to help enterprises deploy and scale AI solutions. So we raised funding from Temasek as well as Sequoia, which is a US-based venture capital firm. And we're now about 25 strong in terms of data science, machine learning engineering, and DevOps. And essentially, we are targeting, to help enterprises with deploying AI in a responsible and scalable way. It may be useful for me I like to do a sharing, especially with the various companies in the audience, because there's a lot of jargon and hype over AI. And if you think about it, there are many terms in the tech industry that have been used over the years. And I think it's always useful to locate how AI is really a part of an evolution. But I like to give people a skeptical take first, poke some fun at all the people who are trying to tell you about AI. And, back in the day, you had business intelligence, and people used to say it's just better Excel charts, right? What is better about that? And then after that, in about 2011, you had these terms, data science and big data, who come about. And people used to say this is just a sexier term for statistics. Right? So all the statisticians have been saying, hey, we've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And then when people talk about big data, it's not very descriptive in terms of how much is data that's big enough or sufficient to be interesting. And even the term machine learning and deep learning, they're not very descriptive terms, right? So a lot of people throw these jargon, but it's not very intuitive. And I think, unfortunately, in this day and age, sometimes AI becomes something that hasn't been invented yet. But we see AI as a means to augment and to use data to make your businesses more effective. So I think one key aspect is obviously with business intelligence, it's about democratizing access to data. The industry has evolved so that with data science, you have more of these algorithms being used in terms of business impact rather than just as research. And with big data, no data set is really too big, unless you're working at Google or Uber. The technology exists to process, data. I used to say in Singapore, we only have kind of 6 million, users, and a lot of the big tech companies are used to 50, 100 million users. So really, data computation is not a bottleneck. And the great thing about the kind of AI technologies, which I think are interesting, called machine learning and deep learning, is it allows you to do kind of pattern recognition. So if you have data, you can do pattern recognition. The algorithms and the technology now exists for you to process a lot of these, especially in unstructured forms. So I think the previous presenters talked about, processing video, images, speech, text, and these can be handled in different ways. And when you're able to take these algorithms and then enable them into real-time intelligence, real-time software, that I think is where AI really comes into its own. It's really to augment and in some cases to automate tasks that human beings don't want to do. So a couple of use cases that maybe I can share that we've worked on, to give you some ideas about what can be done. One piece of work we did was with the online marketplace. This is a very large startup that I think most of you will be familiar with, and essentially what they were trying to do is personalize what each customer sees as they go online. Sorry, I think somebody is not muted. Doing a bit of interference. So yeah, and essentially what they wanted to do is, as you go on the app, you want every single individual to see a different set of recommendations, and these recommendations are based on, their past preferences and their behaviors. And the main requirement here was, obviously they want the AI to be accurate, but they also need it to be fast. Because if I go on an app and I'm waiting, more than 20 milliseconds for the recommendations to load, then I'm going to go away. So it turns out that a lot of companies, when they're starting to digitize, you need to think not just about how accurate the algorithms are, but can you deliver them in real time? And that is again what we specialize in, building bespoke algorithms for organizations, but also be able to deploy them in real time. We're also working with a low-cost carrier and airline, and they want algorithms to enable them to more dynamically price. So traditionally, revenue management is a well understood field, but with more and more data, you can apply AI to really try and see how to price different components of your product offerings. So not just seats, but also when and how to upsell, additional meals or preferred seats. Right. So this is again a very different way of handling pricing. It augments their current pricing analysts and the decisions they have to make on a weekly basis. But this is another very practical example of where AI can be useful. I want to talk a bit about some challenges with enterprises adopting AI. I think a lot of even large companies are very excited about AI, but finding the impact is quite elusive. And there are various reasons for this. Part of it is finding the right problem to solve. We don't believe that some sort of generic off-the-box AI solution, they're not always the right solution for the use case. They usually tackle very narrow use cases, and they may not be contextualized to the problem. So being able to find that right part of your business process that can be automated by AI, and which part you're still better off letting the human being manage, is a very key part of this. Like I mentioned just now, being able to productionize AI at scale and keep these models to be performing well is important. You need to realize that with AI systems, they can, when they're first deployed, they can look like they perform very well, but they degrade very quickly because the real world changes. The AI is supposed to evolve with data. And if you're not careful, what's initially put into production may not be sustained. So my advice for you is whichever AI partner or vendor you're using, please make sure that you're continuing to monitor how well they're giving you the predictions and the accuracy, not just when you go live and go into production, but on an ongoing basis, because it's really an iterative process. The other thing we see is obviously that trust in AI is starting to erode. Even banks and financial institutions, customers are starting to wonder, why did the AI tell me, reject my loan or make this decision? And we feel it's very important that any AI system that's built is trusted. So what we can help enterprises do is really take them from advanced analytics, first of all, to real-time intelligence. The example that I mentioned about the marketplace, where you need these predictions to be made in real time. And then secondly, the way we build these AI systems is such that they are not black boxes. They are what we call glass boxes, where we can hold them to account. You can see what's going on behind the AI system. And we do that using our proprietary AI operating system called Bedrock. And so think about it like, as people are building different applications, you need the right operating system and foundations so that these systems, once they're built, can handle real time and can also handle and deploy the AI in a responsible way. I just, conscious of the time, and I know we're running behind already, just to give you some idea of how, what we mean by AI governance and responsible AI, we think it's very important that, when you have a lot of these algorithms, you're able to make sure that they are explainable. Why did the AI make this decision? Make sure that you're able to audit for unintended bias or fairness against gender or against ethnic groups, and the ability to obviously maintain and fix the AI algorithms as they go on. Right. So we think this is a very important part of the process. Otherwise, you have situations like this where different races in the US were treated differently when AI was used in deciding whether or not they would be prisoners would be let out of jail. But there are ways to, in fact, detect whether machine learning and AI is, in fact, what are the explainers and the drivers of these AI systems. And there's a lot of research that allows you to do that. So in our view, you should be able to explain what the AI does. And when we build AI systems, we provide this visibility so that it's not a black box to you or your customers. So we have what's called the Bedrock, which is an AI operating system that allows you to very quickly deploy deployments into real-time software in weeks rather than months of deployment. And also this allows us to better govern these systems. I can take more questions later on because I'm running out of time. But essentially, you can see us as basically, if you have an ambition to build your own AI capabilities, we can help you with an end-to-end brain and an end-to-end AI solution, which we deploy using our platform that allows the deployment to be much quicker and much more responsible. Or if you have your own algorithms and data science team that you feel is you want to retain as your IP, we can use Bedrock to help you get to market much faster. So, I'm just going to end off there, and hopefully this gives you an indication of what Basis AI does. And, my email is here. Very happy to continue the conversations if you have more questions. And I'm just going to stop there because I'm running out of time. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Feng Yuan. Thank you so much. Anybody who has questions for Basis AI, you can type it into the Q&A box with #4, and we'll try to take your questions later. We are running out of time. Sorry, we have started a bit late today. I'd like to move on to the next presenter. Nicolette Hendricks is the president of Hendricks. I would like her to share with us on Hendricks AI company, focused on video analytics and intelligence gathering. So I'll hand over to Nicolette now.
Thank you very much. And let me start my presentation. Sorry for the delay. So thank you very much. So I'm Nicolette Hendricks from Hendricks Corp. My husband and I started this company here in Singapore in 2013. And we are a small business. We've created our own big video analytics and big data as well. So I will go through challenges. So we are a Singapore company, and we have developed proprietary algorithms in the AI world. We have some very important partnerships that include HP, Google Cloud, Axis, and so on. What we find that is very unique is our solution is very scalable, repeatable, and adaptable. So right now, we are very solutions. We adopt a solutions-oriented approach, and we are focused on the Asia Pacific realm type work right now. So we have two types of products. One is Ent-Vision, which is the big data product, and Basis is the video analytics product. So we ask what video analytics can do for you. So we can efficiently allocate resources to monitor CCTV networks. We can keep the focus on monitoring for events, and we monitor events in the background as well as events in the foreground as well. So I'm going to show you a little something. So if you look, this video is looking for Nike logos, but it's really, really tough to find it through your eyes. So we use video analytics to find things that you cannot see, but the camera can see. And it's far more accurate than us human beings as well. So these are the 4 pillars that I would say that we're in these kinds of industries, in the smart facilities, in energy, in government, and in transportation. Why us? Why Hendricks? Because we are able to repurpose our solutions. We are customizable. We give you actionable insights, and we're also plug and play as well. And I wanted to show you a video about how we would do things like people counting. So this is, you'll see these arrows, and this is called what we call directional flow. So this gives us a way of telling where people are going, and which floor they're going to, which exits they're going to. And this is great for if there's like a fire, or you just want to know where people are shopping, that sort of thing. This will be what we call vehicle tracking. So we are going, we're tracking a vehicle, and we're tracking a vehicle not just through the license plate, but also through the vehicle itself. So it makes tracking much more accurate. So you can do that in terms of trying to find out which vehicle is coming in to buy food or anything several times a day, and they could be a loyal customer, so you could give them, some rewards instead. So this is something that we started out with here in Singapore. We had won a grant, and it's about smokestacks. It's so what we are able to do is we're able to figure out the color of the smoke and also differentiate whether it's a smoke or it's what they call flaring. It's fire for pollution purposes. And this would be doing the same thing. We're looking at pollution coming out from the smoke from all these different ships as well. So as you can see the big arrow, it will tell you where we can see the smoke and also the color of the smoke as well. So this is part of the topic rebound and recover after COVID-19. We can always use video analytics and big data to help make a safer workplace or a safer school. So we can use our video analytics to talk about whether people have their masks or no masks. We track people. We're able to use facial recognition. We're also able to give people a unique ID and see where they're going. We're also able to use video analytics to measure the distance between people as well, and whether or not people are going in intrusion detection, whether people are going into to certain places as well. And we also can detect crowd detection. For example, right now we're only allowed to have 5 in a group, so it can detect whether there's more than 5, and that would be part of people counting. And then we also have, and we link it to automatic screening with thermal temperature and facial recognition as well. This is what we use. VADES is looking at to see how far apart people are. So everybody's tracked with a unique ID. It's too far for you to use facial recognition. And so we want to measure to see the distances between how far everyone is. And then so there's an alert coming out of Ent-Vision, which is the big data dashboard, that will be sent to a security guard or something to break people apart or find them. Sorry. This is a video of crowd gathering. We want to make sure that we can count the number of people and the distance. And it shows you how we can do a social distancing violation because everybody's bunched up together. This is a big data dashboard that we have created. It's part of Ent-Vision, so you can actually use it to do capacity. So you can do crowd heat mapping, and this heat mapping is not through thermal cameras, it's through just normal cameras using our VADES to see where people are bunching up, and also through each level through floor plans as well. This is another video. So where we manage the amount of occupants. So this will be in an airport. So we want to make sure that there's not an overcrowding. So what it's doing is it is putting a box around the area of interest, and then we know whether there's crowding involved, whether we need to send an alert to get people to be broken up. This is another dashboard that we have that Ent-Vision has, and it gives you a facility capacity, temperature, and notice that we don't put names on there. We can if you use facial recognition as well, and then you can use the temperature scanner, and then it tells you, it gives you the graphs of what's going on for the whole week or for the whole month, and to see how many people have come into this building, have gone out, and how many people have been refused entry into buildings as well. And that's really the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Nicolette. Thank you so much for sharing. Finally, I would like to, any questions for Nicolette, you can also put it in the Q&A box with the #5 so that we can answer them later. Finally, we have Mr. Jeron Ong, Head of Sales at Tiger. Tiger builds AI that accelerates cognitive processes in organizations. Let me invite him so he can share a bit more about the company. Jeron?
Right. Thanks for the invite today. I know I only have 10 minutes, so I'll go fast but accurate, right? So today's agenda, mainly we want to cover a bit more towards, give a bit of background who Tiger is about, what do we do. At the same time, what is our value proposition towards the situation now and even moving forward, not just a year later, but maybe even 5 years later. That's what we want to look at from a value proposition perspective. And last but not least, based on what the products that we have available that can help in digital transformation, we actually share a bit of use cases so that we know, all of us can understand a bit how is AI being used in different scenarios. At the same time, what is being achieved from using AI. So first of all, a quick background. So Tiger has been around since 2009, right? We are actually a European-based company that started in 2009. However, in 2015, we actually switched side. We moved our headquarters from Europe over to Singapore. So Singapore now is actually our headquarters that actually serve the rest of the government as well as public agencies in Singapore over here. We do have about 150 people in Singapore. Out of the 150, we look at about 80% of the folks that we have are engineering. Predominantly, we actually look at building our products, delivering our products to make it more explainable in terms of our artificial intelligence implementing in our customers' environment, right? We do have quite a lot of global projects moving around. If you look at the map on the right-hand side, it actually shows the people that we have in each of the continent that we have office in, right? Predominantly, when we look at each of the organizations, we will want to always put across 3 products that we have been developing for almost the last 10 years, almost that. First itself is we call it Converse, Extract, and Search. By the name itself, Converse is basically a chatbot, or even we can call it an email bot that look at be it emails or conversation coming in to provide necessary information back to the inquirer, right? The second product itself that we'll look at is actually an Extract. By the name of Extract, it means that we look into a document and provide capabilities of reading the document as if like it's a human reading it and pull out information that is meant for the downstream systems. Last but not least is actually Search. It is actually a search engine. At the same time, it's also having the capabilities of recommendation engine that provides bigger organizations or every organization in general who has a document management, knowledge management, or records management systems that enhance search capabilities, right? These are 3 products that we have. Last but not least, we do have quite a few offices that's around the globe as well. We don't, although we say that we are headquartered in Singapore, AI has been widely being adopted, and regardless which part of the countries, AI is always there and is always required. And that's the reason why we venture out of Singapore, our comfort zone, to move out and actually approach more organizations outside of Singapore. We share a use case about that later. The company itself has also gained quite a lot of traction. These are actually some of the recognition that we have, be it locally in Singapore, where IDC actually look at Tiger being one of the few good startups that provide technology that have great accuracy in terms of extraction. We also have Gartner actually looking at us back in like about a year or 2 years back, looking at awarding us the Cool Vendor Award based on evaluation of our technology. Last but not least, with the one on the top right, top left actually, the EFMA, Essential Banking. This is actually an innovation award that our customer actually put up our solutions up to get evaluated, and eventually we got this award, together with the customer. And there's a lot more that we can show, but these are the 3 mains that we can talk about. What are value props itself, right? Today, although we have we have 3 products, but I'm not going to touch all products. I'm going to touch one which actually has the biggest impact, not just during COVID, but it's also post-COVID period that we need to deal with. So we all know that, you know, in every organization, we have different departments, we have different operation, we have different process. But these are the process itself and departments are meant to perform a particular job scope. But at the same time, we all know that, you know, having different departments to work together, there's always some inefficiency going on, right? This is where then in the market, everybody is talking about digital transformation. What does digital transformation means to you in this case? What it means to Tiger is actually increase the operation efficiency by reduce the amount of human work required, right? And that is really important because the more headcount you require to perform a particular task, so that is to interconnect between different departments, the more human error that possibly could happen, right? And that's actually the reason why, you know, when it comes to digital transformation, and especially at this time in the COVID period, we want to automate as much as we can, right? This is where we come in. Tiger come in from this angle where we know that there's solutions out there where the very hot solutions out there we hear now is all about RPA, right? Robotic process automation, right? Yes, it has been hot. It has been super useful because if you look at the screen on the screen on the right, what you see over here is basically very structured data that RPA can actually pull out information. It has been very helpful, but then again, think about it. How much structured information do you actually have in your organization? I'm very sure that you do have some, but what about the super unstructured information like this, right? That you see on the screen over here. This is something which is day in, day out, be it in the education sector, students are writing essay, be it in banking environment, officers are writing justification, or even talking about anti-money laundering, what happened to a particular case, or being day in, day out, you know, from our consumer side of things, we are writing emails, writing letters to appeal for a particular case. The most common case in Singapore will be appealing for car park summons, right? So those are simple stuff, but we do know that, you know, there's a lot of unstructured data lying around in our data, repository itself. So these require a lot of human effort to read, to understand, in order to actually achieve what really matters to you in this whole paragraph of information or letter itself. What matters to me, so that I could use it for the my downstream systems, right? In this case, over here, what you see over here is a proof of employment letter. It is actually a use case for a bank where when you want to apply for a credit card, or when you want to apply for a SME onboarding with a bank process, you require to submit some of the proof, right? And this is what the bank is doing. They actually uses human to read through the information, and so that they can feed the downstream systems to process with an application, right? This is where really AI comes in. A lot of times when you talk about AI, people talk about machine learning. I think this portion I want to clarify a bit more. AI itself doesn't mean machine learning. AI means a lot more. AI has broadly actually segregate into two parts. One is actually a symbolic, and one is actually non-symbolic. If you see on the screen, it's clearly identified based on non-symbolic is more towards machine learning, whereas symbolic itself is based on knowledge representation, NLP, computer visions. Some of it that you have already seen on the previous presenters' slides, right? But I strongly believe that there's no one technique that can actually meet a complex requirement like looking as if a document like a human. This is where then Tiger actually leverage on multiple techniques in AI, both symbolic and non-symbolic, to actually understand the meaning itself of what the product of what the document is about. So let me show you some of the documents that what I mean by unstructured, right? So if you look at a legal letter, a legal contract, right over here, this is considered highly unstructured because you need a paralegal to read it. If you look at a semi-structured, the likes of over here, you can see it's actually a financial statement. Yes, a human can actually read it easily because it's in the table form. But if you look at, if you consider this as structured, this is highly wrong because in every financial statement itself, it is not just a fixed location that we're looking at. There is multiple pages depending on the size of the company, right? So this is something that we, regardless of the structure, regardless of the number of pages, we don't base on fixed location. We base on the content that you are trying to find, right? Of course, then we look at structured information like, a passport. Although we say that this is structured, the noise behind, when I say noise as in the backdrop, the information, all this, highly affect the accuracy as well. So what we have mastered throughout the last 10 years in terms of leveraging AI to encapsulate AI into our products is actually to contractually guarantee an accuracy, right? By default, we guarantee an 80%. And it's not just at the point of delivery of the project, we guarantee 80%, and it's ongoing as well that we guarantee 80% accuracy, regardless what kind of documents that we're looking at over here. Let me move into one of the use cases that we have. So this is actually a European bank that from day one, we have been working with them as part of their digital transformation plan. They started the plan about 4 years ago. And that's where then we start embarking this journey with them. Firstly, I think this is actually the award-winning case that we talked about earlier. For here, we are actually reducing their process in terms of onboarding an SME from 7 days to 15 minutes, right? Previously, they do have some, as usual, like all web forms we're looking at. There's always forms that we talk about having, you have to fill in your particulars and stuff. So all this information itself is all translated back to the system, and human actually have to read through the information. And this is where then we come in. We actually replace the human and repurpose the human to actually do more than that. We just need the human to do more validation rather than performing the reading and understanding and extraction of information, right? The second part of it is we actually expand our solution out to more than just the SME onboarding process. We expand out to more, even the anti-money laundering process itself, that we look at 70% operation cost reduction, because out of the 23 headcount that they're looking at to process about 2 million documents, we are actually reducing them by greatly by 70%. And on top of that, because of that, right, the repurpose of the headcount, we can actually proceed to actually use them for even more functions in the bank, right? So with that, right, I will end my presentation with my last slides. What we are providing over here from a product perspective is it's an adaptable AI, quicker to learn in terms of regardless whether it's what kind of documents type you have. We do have a platform that is user friendly for you to actually adopt to train the system. You don't even need to come back to us. You can train it on your own, right? That's what we want to empower you. And last but not least, regardless what happened, we will always guarantee a KPI of accuracy in terms of 80%. Right. With that, I'd like to open to the floor for any questions.
Thank you, Jerron. Thank you so much. I think we have overrun by quite a bit. I'd like to thank everyone for staying with us throughout. We appreciate it. I will have to take one question for Basis AI actually. So if Feng Yuan, you are still around, there's a question for you. You can see in the Q&A bar. It says that I can see why such smart systems would be attractive for businesses. What would you advise middle-aged white and blue-collar workers faced with such smart system? How would you advise them to sorry, it just basically says, although the government is pushing lifelong skills with reskilling, upskilling programs, it's not easy for an old dog to learn new tricks. So what kind of advice can you give? Feng Yuan, are you still around? Okay, if not, we'll just take this question back and we'll try to answer it via email later. I would like to do a closing. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you see the QR code on screen, can we show the QR code please? Yeah, we would like to access your feedback. This can give you access to our feedback form. We'd like to take some feedback from you. For any companies that you want to reach out to, please also let us know in the feedback form and we will link you up with them after. We thank you for joining us today. Please join us again tomorrow if you have signed up for it. We have a second session. We'll start at 12:30 sharp tomorrow, so we'll be on time. This session is also recorded. We'll place it up on Pixel's YouTube channel and we hope to see you again. Thank you to presenters and our speakers for today, and thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Carrie and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.